Think clearly under pressure. Strategies to stay calm, solve problems, and perform at your best in any situation. By T.M. Light. Description: This book is your ultimate guide to mastering mental clarity when it matters most. Learn how to control stress, regulate emotions, sharpen focus, and make confident decisions in high-pressure scenarios. Packed with practical strategies, visualization techniques, and resilience-building habits, this book empowers you to navigate crises, unexpected events, and critical moments with composure and confidence. Perfect for professionals, leaders, athletes, and anyone facing challenges, it teaches you how to perform at your peak, stay calm under stress, and become unshakable in any situation. Chapter Outline. Introduction: Why clear thinking under pressure is a superpower. Chapter 1: Understanding stress and its impact on the mind. Chapter 2: The mind-body connection, calm the body to calm the mind. Chapter 3: Emotional regulation, mastering your reactions. Chapter 4: Focus and attention, the key to clarity. Chapter 5: Decision-making under pressure. Chapter 6: Mental preparation and visualization. Chapter 7: Overcoming fear and doubt in critical moments. Chapter 8: Stress-proof habits for long-term mental resilience. Chapter 9: Leading with clarity in high-stakes situations. Chapter 10: Maintaining clarity during crises and unexpected events. Conclusion: Becoming unshakable under pressure. Introduction: Why clear thinking under pressure is a superpower. In the moments that matter most, when the stakes are high and the world feels like it is closing in, the ability to think clearly can make the difference between success and failure, confidence and regret, control and chaos. Every day, people are faced with situations that test their mental composure. Tight deadlines, unexpected crises, difficult conversations, high-pressure decisions, or personal challenges that seem to arrive all at once. In these moments, most people react. Panic sets in. Decisions are clouded by fear, confusion, or doubt. Opportunities slip through their fingers, not because they lacked skill or intelligence, but because their minds were overwhelmed. The difference between thriving under pressure and collapsing into chaos is mental clarity. Clear thinking under pressure is not just a desirable trait, it is a superpower. It allows you to see the truth in the fog of stress, to distinguish what matters from what distracts, and to act decisively rather than react impulsively. It transforms fear into focus, anxiety into action, and confusion into strategy. People who master this skill do not merely survive high-pressure situations, they excel. They turn challenges into opportunities, solve problems with precision, and maintain a calm authority that inspires confidence in themselves and those around them. Yet here is the empowering truth: mental clarity is not something you are born with. It is not a lucky trait reserved for a select few. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed, strengthened, and refined through practice. Just as an athlete trains their body to perform under stress, the mind can be trained to perform under pressure. The difference is that mental training is not always visible, yet its effects are profound and far-reaching. It governs how you respond to stress, how you solve problems, how you communicate, and ultimately how you perform in life's most critical moments. The consequences of poor decision-making under stress are often underestimated. A single moment of panic, hesitation, or confusion can cascade into mistakes that could have been avoided with a steady, focused mind. Opportunities are missed, relationships strained, projects delayed, and confidence eroded. Even when the situation is recoverable, the mental toll, regret, self-criticism, and self-doubt lingers long after the crisis has passed. This is why cultivating the ability to stay calm, focused, and decisive under pressure is not a luxury, it is essential. The skill of clear thinking under pressure protects your performance, your reputation, and your peace of mind. Imagine, for a moment, being able to remain composed when everything seems to be falling apart. Imagine being able to assess a complex situation, identify the most important variables, and make decisions confidently, without being hijacked by fear or stress. Imagine knowing that no matter the chaos around you, your mind remains steady, your emotions balanced, and your focus unshakable. This is the power of mental clarity under pressure. It is the difference between reacting with panic and responding with strategy. It is the difference between being swept away by circumstance and leading yourself and others through it. Developing this superpower begins with understanding that the mind is not a passive observer. It is a tool that responds to training, awareness, and deliberate practice. Every thought you have, every emotional reaction you experience, and every decision you make under stress can be observed, analyzed, and refined. Mental clarity is not about eliminating stress. It is about learning to navigate stress with precision, composure, and purpose. It is about taking control of your mind when the external world seems uncontrollable. This book is designed to guide you through the journey of mastering your mind under pressure. You will learn how stress affects the brain, how emotions influence decision-making, and how focus can be sharpened even in the most chaotic environments. You will discover practical strategies for emotional regulation, mental preparation, and problem-solving that allow you to act decisively rather than react impulsively. You will understand how to build resilience over time, turning challenging experiences into opportunities to strengthen your mental composure. Most importantly, this book emphasizes that mental clarity is not just about reacting better in crises. It is about building a mindset that allows you to consistently perform at your best. It is about cultivating the ability to remain calm, think strategically, and act with confidence in any situation. It is about developing a level of mastery over your own mind that makes stress and pressure manageable rather than paralyzing. To fully benefit from this guide, you must make a commitment to practice, to self-awareness, and to growth. Mental clarity is not a one-time achievement. It is a habit cultivated through consistent effort. The exercises, insights, and strategies in this book are designed to be applied daily, strengthening your mind incrementally until calmness, focus, and decisive action become second nature. Each chapter will provide practical tools, actionable steps, and motivational guidance to help you build your capacity to perform under pressure. The journey ahead is empowering because it reminds you that you are not helpless in the face of stress. You are not at the mercy of circumstance or emotional turbulence. You have the ability to shape your thoughts, regulate your emotions, and direct your attention, even when the stakes are high. The mind that can remain clear under pressure is a mind that leads rather than follows. It is a mind that makes opportunities visible, solutions possible, and confidence unshakable. As you read this book, approach it as a training ground. Experiment with the strategies, apply the exercises, and reflect on the insights. Observe your current responses to stress, and notice the incremental changes that begin to occur. Over time, these small but deliberate actions will transform how you navigate pressure, make decisions, and perform at your highest level. You will begin to notice that even in challenging situations, you are no longer overwhelmed, distracted, or reactive. Instead, you are composed, focused, and effective. Clear thinking under pressure is more than a skill. It is a mindset, a way of life, and one of the most valuable abilities you can develop. In mastering this skill, you not only protect yourself from the negative consequences of stress and poor decisions, but you also unlock potential, opportunity, and performance that may have seemed out of reach. You will discover that pressure is no longer an obstacle to fear, but a stage for your best thinking, decisive action, and confident execution. By the end of this journey, you will understand that mental clarity is within your control. You will have the knowledge, tools, and mindset to navigate pressure with calm, act with precision, and consistently perform at your best. You will recognize that the superpower of clear thinking under pressure is not reserved for a few. It is a skill that anyone can develop with awareness, practice, and determination. And most importantly, you will see that by mastering your mind, you can approach every challenge, decision, and high-stakes situation with unwavering confidence and calm. The journey begins now. Your mind is your most powerful ally, and learning to harness it under pressure is one of the greatest investments you can make in yourself. The chapters ahead will guide you step by step, providing the strategies, insights, and motivation you need to transform your mental performance. This is your opportunity to become someone who does not merely survive pressure, but thrives within it. To think clearly under pressure is not just a skill, it is your superpower, and it is waiting to be unlocked. Chapter 1: Understanding Stress and its Impact on the Mind. Stress is a universal experience. It comes in many forms: tight deadlines at work, personal crises, unexpected challenges, and the constant pressure to perform. Life, by its very nature, presents obstacles that test your resilience, composure, and mental clarity. Yet despite its inevitability, most people underestimate the profound effect stress has on the mind. Stress is not merely an unpleasant feeling, it is a powerful force that alters the way you think, feel, and act. To perform at your best, to think clearly under pressure, you must first understand what stress does to your brain and why awareness is the first step toward mastering it. When you encounter stress, your body reacts automatically. Your brain perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, and triggers a cascade of chemical and physiological responses designed to protect you. This is known as the fight-or-flight response, a mechanism that has kept humans alive for millennia. When your ancestors faced a predator, this response enabled them to react quickly, increasing heart rate, sharpening senses, and directing blood flow to muscles needed for escape or defense. In modern life, the threats are rarely predators, yet the brain responds in the same way. Tight deadlines, interpersonal conflicts, financial worries, and health concerns can trigger this primal response, flooding the body with adrenaline and cortisol, priming it for action. While this response can be life-saving in truly dangerous situations, it can also interfere with clear thinking when activated unnecessarily or excessively. Under stress, the brain's rational thinking centers, particularly the prefrontal cortex, become less effective, while the more reactive emotional centers like the amygdala take control. This shift is known as emotional hijacking. It is the reason a person might snap in anger, make hasty decisions, or freeze in the middle of a high-pressure situation. When the amygdala dominates, reason is overridden, and the mind becomes clouded by fear, anxiety, and urgency. Understanding this mechanism is crucial, because it shows that your reactions under pressure are not failures of character. They are natural responses that can be trained, managed, and redirected. Stress also affects decision-making in subtle but powerful ways. Even moderate levels of stress impair working memory, reduce attention span, and make it more difficult to evaluate options logically. When stress rises, your mind tends to focus narrowly on immediate threats or concerns, often at the expense of long-term thinking. This tunnel vision can cause errors, missed opportunities, and impulsive choices. For someone striving to perform under pressure, recognizing this cognitive effect is essential. Clarity is not simply about trying harder or thinking faster. It is about understanding how stress reshapes perception, attention, and reasoning. Awareness of these effects allows you to create space between stimulus and response, the gap where clear thinking emerges. Physiological symptoms of stress are equally important to recognize. Rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, muscle tension, and gastrointestinal discomfort are all indicators that the body is in a heightened state of alert. These physical signals are not signs of weakness, they are messages from the body that stress is present. Learning to observe these signals without judgment transforms them from distractions into tools. When you notice your heart racing or muscles tightening, you can consciously apply strategies to regulate your physiology, which in turn calms the mind. Breathwork, posture adjustment, and mindful awareness of bodily sensations are powerful methods to counteract the automatic stress response. Chronic stress has even more profound implications. When the fight-or-flight response is triggered repeatedly over time, it can lead to long-term changes in brain structure and function. Elevated cortisol levels over prolonged periods reduce the effectiveness of the prefrontal cortex, impairing decision-making, emotional regulation, and problem-solving abilities. Memory may become less reliable, and the ability to focus diminishes. Chronic stress also increases susceptibility to anxiety, depression, and burnout, creating a cycle in which the mind feels continually under threat. Understanding this connection underscores the urgency of developing mental strategies for stress management and clarity. Mental strength is not only about performing under pressure, it is also about protecting the mind from the corrosive effects of ongoing stress. One of the first steps in mastering mental clarity under pressure is awareness. Being conscious of stress as it arises is transformative. When you identify the early signs of stress, racing thoughts, tension, shallow breathing, you create an opportunity to respond rather than react. Awareness allows you to observe your internal state without being consumed by it. This is the essence of mental composure. You learn to recognize that stress is a signal, not a command. By noticing it, you can activate strategies that preserve clarity and focus rather than allowing emotions to hijack your mind. Mental clarity under stress is built on understanding that stress is not inherently negative. Stress is a signal, a teacher, and when managed effectively, a tool. Short-term stress can sharpen attention, increase motivation, and enhance performance. Elite athletes, surgeons, pilots, and high-stakes professionals often thrive in pressured environments precisely because they know how to harness the physiological and psychological effects of stress. The difference between those who thrive and those who crumble lies not in the absence of stress, but in the ability to regulate the mind and body, maintain focus, and act deliberately. Training your mind to handle stress begins with understanding personal patterns. Each individual reacts differently to pressure. Some become anxious and hesitant, others impulsive and aggressive. Observing your default responses is a critical first step. Ask yourself, when I feel pressure rising, what are my automatic thoughts? What emotions surface first? How does my body react? By identifying these patterns, you gain insight into the specific areas where mental training can create change. Awareness allows for intentional intervention, turning automatic reactions into conscious, effective responses. Another critical aspect of understanding stress is reframing perception. Often, pressure feels overwhelming because it is interpreted as a threat. Changing this narrative, seeing challenges as opportunities to grow, problems as puzzles to solve, and pressure as a test of skill, transforms the mind's response. The brain's emotional centers remain active, but the interpretation of stress shifts from danger to engagement. This simple reframing enhances focus, reduces panic, and creates mental space to think clearly. Clarity is not the absence of stress, it is the ability to navigate it intelligently. Practical strategies for managing stress begin with basic awareness, but extend into deliberate exercises. Controlling breath, grounding attention in the present, and pausing before reacting are foundational skills. Visualization and mental rehearsal can prepare the mind for high-pressure situations before they occur, reducing the likelihood of being overwhelmed. Developing these techniques is akin to training a muscle. The more consistently you practice, the stronger and more automatic your responses become. Mental clarity under pressure is not a gift, It is cultivated skill, strengthened through repetition, reflection, and persistence. Finally, understanding stress and its impact on the mind empowers you to take ownership of your internal state. It teaches that performance under pressure is not dictated solely by external circumstances, but by how the mind interprets and responds to those circumstances. Stress will always exist. Life will always throw challenges that demand quick thinking, decisive action, and composure. The goal is not to eliminate stress. It is to develop the awareness, regulation, and mental strategies that allow you to thrive despite it. By understanding the effects of stress on the brain, body, and behavior, you equip yourself with the foundation necessary for clear thinking, decisive action, and resilient performance. In essence, this chapter reveals a critical truth: mental clarity under pressure begins with knowledge. Recognizing how stress shapes thought, emotion, and behavior is the first step in mastering your mind. Awareness transforms reaction into response, chaos into composure, and fear into focus. It sets the stage for every skill, habit, and strategy that follows in the journey toward thinking clearly under pressure. Once you understand the mechanics of stress, you can begin to take control, train your mind, and unlock the superpower of clarity when it matters most. Stress is inevitable, but being consumed by it is optional. By observing, understanding, and training your response, you can transform pressure from an obstacle into a stage for peak performance. The mind that knows stress is manageable, interprets it as an ally rather than an enemy, and applies deliberate strategies to navigate it is a mind capable of extraordinary results. The journey to clear thinking under pressure begins with understanding your stress, and from that foundation, everything else, focus, emotional control, problem-solving, and mental resilience, can be built. The path forward is clear. Awareness of stress is not passive observation, it is the active first step toward mastery. By learning how your mind reacts, understanding the physiological and psychological mechanisms at play, and beginning to practice deliberate strategies, you lay the groundwork for sustained clarity, calm, and high performance. Every challenge, pressure-filled situation, or high-stakes decision becomes an opportunity to exercise and strengthen your mental resilience. The superpower of clear thinking under pressure is not a distant dream, it is a skill you can cultivate starting today. Chapter 2: The Mind-Body Connection. Calm the body to calm the mind. Every high-pressure situation, every moment when your mind feels scattered or overwhelmed, begins in the body. The mind and body are inseparable, intimately linked in ways most people overlook. Stress, tension, and anxiety often manifest physically before they fully arrive in thought. A racing heart, shallow breathing, clenched jaw, or tight shoulders signal that the mind is entering survival mode, triggering automatic reactions rather than deliberate responses. Understanding and harnessing the mind-body connection is one of the most powerful tools you can develop to think clearly under pressure. The truth is simple yet profound: calm the body and the mind will follow. The human body is designed to respond to danger. When the brain detects a threat, real or perceived, it signals the release of adrenaline and cortisol, preparing muscles for action, accelerating heartbeat, and heightening alertness. This response, the fight-or-flight reaction, served our ancestors well, ensuring survival in dangerous encounters. In modern life, however, the triggers are rarely predators. Deadlines, financial worries, conflicts, and critical decisions activate the same response, often unnecessarily. The physical sensations are unmistakable: tense shoulders, rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, and tightness in the stomach. Left unchecked, these bodily responses create a feedback loop with the mind, amplifying stress, clouding judgment, and hijacking mental clarity. Recognizing these signals is the first step in breaking the cycle. Awareness of tension is not a weakness, it is a signal, an early warning system that the body is under pressure. When you notice your jaw tightening, shoulders rising, or breath becoming shallow, you have an opportunity to intervene. The moment you engage the body deliberately, you interrupt the automatic stress response and regain a measure of control. Calm the body, and clarity begins to emerge. Controlled breathing is one of the most powerful tools for achieving this calm. The breath is unique because it bridges the conscious and unconscious, the voluntary and involuntary. When the body is tense and the mind anxious, the breath is often shallow and rapid, feeding the cycle of stress. By consciously slowing, deepening, and regulating breathing, you send a signal to the nervous system that the environment is safe, prompting a reduction in stress hormones. Techniques such as diaphragmatic breathing, box breathing, or even simple counts of 4 in and 4 out can anchor the mind instantly, stabilizing thoughts and emotions. Breath control is not merely a relaxation technique, it is a direct mechanism for optimizing the brain under pressure. Posture is another underestimated component of the mind-body connection. How you hold your body influences not only how you feel physically, but also how you think and perform mentally. A hunched posture, crossed arms, or slumped shoulders reinforces tension, constricted breathing, and stress responses. Conversely, standing or sitting tall, opening the chest and aligning the spine, creates space for the lungs to expand fully, facilitating deeper breathing and improved oxygen flow to the brain. A strong, confident posture signals both internally and externally that you are prepared, capable, and in control. The simple act of adjusting your posture can shift your mindset from reactive to strategic, from stressed to focused. Tension release is equally essential. Stress accumulates in muscles, joints, and connective tissue, often in areas like the neck, shoulders, jaw, and lower back. When tension persists, it amplifies the physical sensation of stress, keeping the body in a state of readiness long after the immediate pressure has passed. Learning to release tension intentionally, through stretching, progressive muscle relaxation, or simple movement, allows the body to reset. Each intentional release signals to the brain that danger has passed, and that it is safe to operate with clarity. Movement is not a distraction from mental performance, it is a direct enhancer of it. Mindfulness practices bridge body and mind in a way that transforms how stress is experienced. Mindfulness is not about eliminating thoughts or emotions, it is about observing them without judgment while maintaining focus on the present. Techniques such as body scans, mindful breathing, or awareness of sensations cultivate a state of calm alertness. By practicing mindfulness regularly, you create a buffer between stress triggers and automatic reactions. The mind learns to notice tension and stress without being consumed by it, allowing rational thought to guide behavior rather than impulse. Mindfulness strengthens the capacity to remain grounded, focused, and strategic in moments that would otherwise feel overwhelming. The connection between body regulation and decision-making is profound. When the body is tense, the mind perceives threat, narrowing attention and limiting creative problem-solving. When the body is calm, oxygen and energy flow optimally to the prefrontal cortex, the region of the brain responsible for rational thought, planning, and complex decision-making. Athletes, performers, and leaders who thrive under pressure understand this principle intuitively. Before entering critical situations, they control their physiology first: deep breaths, grounded posture, muscle relaxation. Only then do they allow the mind to operate at peak clarity. Mental performance under pressure is not achieved through willpower alone. Trying to force clarity while the body remains tense is like attempting to drive a car with the parking brake engaged. Physiological regulation creates the conditions for the mind to function optimally. Breathing, posture, and tension release are not optional, they are prerequisites for clear thinking, strategic problem-solving, and composure. The body is the foundation, the mind is the structure built upon it. Without a stable foundation, clarity falters under stress. In addition to immediate techniques, Developing habits that integrate mind-body awareness into daily life strengthens resilience over time. Daily movement, stretching, and mindful breathing practice train the nervous system to respond more efficiently to stress. Over time, the body becomes a partner in maintaining mental clarity rather than a source of disruption. Morning routines that include posture alignment and breathwork, short breaks during workdays to release tension, and evening reflection practices cultivate a body and mind ready to perform under pressure. Habits are compounding. The more consistent the practice, the more automatic the response, and the more effortless mental clarity becomes in high-stakes situations. Visualization and mental rehearsal also demonstrate the mind-body connection in action. When preparing for a challenging meeting, presentation, or critical decision, mentally simulating the scenario while controlling the body, breathing deeply, maintaining posture, relaxing muscles, enhances performance. The brain interprets these rehearsals as real experiences, priming the body and mind to respond optimally. By integrating physiological control into mental preparation, you create a seamless flow between calm body and focused mind when the actual moment arrives. Emotional regulation, focus, and problem-solving are all enhanced by mind-body mastery. Stress triggers emotional hijacking, narrowing attention, and clouding judgment. By controlling the body, you interrupt this cascade before it takes hold. Calm breathing slows the heart rate, reduces cortisol, and signals safety to the brain. Open posture improves confidence and decision-making. Tension release alleviates physical stress that would otherwise reinforce anxiety. Mindfulness keeps attention anchored in the present. The result is a mind capable of strategic thought, creativity, and resilience, even in high-pressure environments. Understanding the mind-body connection also empowers you to reframe stress itself. Stress is not an enemy, it is information. A racing heartbeat, shallow breath, or tight shoulders is simply the body signaling heightened awareness. By responding with calm control, deepening the breath, adjusting posture, releasing tension, you transform stress from a disruptive force into a tool for focused action. Physiological regulation is not avoidance, it is mastery. By engaging the body deliberately, you give the mind the conditions it needs to act decisively, confidently, and strategically. The mind-body connection is not a theoretical concept, it is a daily practice, a skill that compounds over time. Every moment you intentionally regulate your body strengthens your ability to maintain mental clarity under pressure. Every conscious breath, every posture adjustment, every muscle relaxation builds resilience. Over time, these practices become second nature, allowing you to enter high-stress situations with composure, focus, and strategic thinking automatically. Your body becomes an ally rather than an obstacle, priming the mind for peak performance. As you integrate these principles, you will notice profound changes. Decisions that once felt clouded and rushed become clear and deliberate. Emotional reactions that once hijacked your judgment are tempered by awareness and control. Tasks that once triggered overwhelm now become challenges, approached with calm confidence. The mind-body connection is not a temporary fix. It is a lifelong skill that ensures you can perform at your best, regardless of the pressures you face. The truth is, mastery of your body is mastery of your mind. High-pressure situations will always exist. Stress is inevitable. What distinguishes those who thrive from those who falter is not luck or innate talent, it is the ability to regulate the body, maintain composure, and prime the mind for clear strategic action. When you understand that every breath, every posture, every release of tension directly impacts your clarity, confidence, and performance, you unlock a superpower that transforms pressure from an enemy into an ally. The journey to thinking clearly under pressure begins in the body. By learning to calm your physiology, you give your mind the freedom to operate at its peak. Awareness of tension, conscious breathing, Mindful posture, intentional movement, and daily mind-body practice are the foundation for every other skill covered in this book: focus, emotional control, decision-making, resilience, and strategic problem-solving. The body is not a passive vessel. It is an active participant in your mental performance. When the body is calm, the mind becomes clear. By mastering the mind-body connection, you take the first decisive step toward performing at your best under pressure. You no longer wait for circumstances to calm before thinking clearly. You create calm internally, giving yourself the edge, the clarity, and the control to navigate any situation. Stress remains inevitable, but its power over your mind diminishes. You are no longer at the mercy of physiological reactions. Instead, you become a master of both body and mind, capable of maintaining composure, focus, and clarity when it matters most. In this way, the mind-body connection is more than a technique. It is the foundation for unshakable mental performance. By calming the body, you unlock clarity, resilience, and strategic thinking, transforming every high-pressure moment into an opportunity to excel. Mastering your body is mastering your mind, and mastery over both is the key to thinking clearly under pressure. Chapter 3: Emotional Regulation: Mastering Your Reactions. Emotions are powerful. They are the force that drives decisions, shapes perception, and colors every experience we have. When life is calm, emotions can be allies, fueling motivation, creativity, and connection. But when pressure rises, emotions can become a silent saboteur, clouding judgment, distorting reality, and leading even the most capable individuals to make decisions they later regret. The difference between thriving under pressure and succumbing to it lies not in the absence of emotion, but in the mastery of it. Emotional regulation, the ability to recognize, process, and direct your emotions, is the cornerstone of thinking clearly under stress and performing at your best when it matters most. The first step in emotional mastery is awareness. Most people operate under a cloud of unexamined emotion, reacting instinctively rather than responding intentionally. A sudden surge of fear, anger, frustration, or anxiety often feels overwhelming and automatic, as if it arises from outside the self. Yet emotions are not external forces, they are internal signals. They provide information about what we value, what we perceive as threats, and what requires attention. Recognizing an emotion for what it is, the physiological and psychological response it represents, creates the first space for control. This moment of awareness, brief though it may be, separates reaction from response. Understanding the physiological underpinnings of emotion is critical. When the body senses threat or pressure, the amygdala, our brain's emotional center, triggers a cascade of responses. Heart rate increases, muscles tense, breathing quickens, and stress hormones flood the system. The mind narrows, focusing on perceived danger while higher reasoning, planning, and strategic thinking are temporarily suppressed. This is why, in moments of high stress, people often react impulsively, saying things they later regret, freezing in critical situations, or making decisions that seem irrational in retrospect. Emotional hijacking is not a flaw, it is a survival mechanism. The challenge lies in creating the awareness and practice to regain control before the emotion dominates behavior. Mastering emotional regulation begins with the conscious decision to respond rather than react. Reaction is automatic. It is the mind and body responding to stimulus without pause. Response is deliberate. It is the act of observing the emotion, processing its meaning, and choosing the course of action that aligns with goals and values. Learning this distinction is transformative. It allows you to pause for a breath, to acknowledge the surge of anger, fear, or frustration, and to decide how to act rather than being swept away by impulse. In this pause lies clarity, composure, and strategic thinking. The process of regulating emotion is both psychological and physiological. Breath control, posture, and muscle relaxation techniques explored in the previous chapter form the foundation. But emotional regulation extends beyond the body. It requires the mind to interpret emotions constructively. Fear can be reframed as heightened awareness and readiness. Anger can be channeled into assertive action rather than destructive outburst. Anxiety can be approached as an indicator that preparation or attention is required. By interpreting emotions as data rather than directives, you reclaim control over your actions. Cognitive strategies are equally vital. Observing thoughts associated with emotions allows you to understand patterns and triggers. Journaling, reflection, and mindfulness practices provide insight into how certain situations provoke strong emotional reactions. Awareness of these patterns is empowering. Once recognized, emotional responses can be predicted, anticipated, and guided. For instance, knowing that a particular colleague triggers impatience allows you to prepare mentally, choose your responses deliberately, and maintain composure. Mastery of emotion is mastery of perception. It is seeing the situation as it is, not as the emotion distorts it. High-pressure environments magnify the importance of emotional regulation. In business, leadership, or personal crises, the ability to remain composed enhances decision-making, communication, and problem-solving. When emotions dominate, reasoning narrows, mistakes multiply, and relationships suffer. When emotions are regulated, clarity expands, solutions become visible, and interactions are constructive. The mind that can process emotion without being overwhelmed operates with precision, creativity, and confidence. Emotional mastery is not merely self-control, it is strategic advantage. An essential part of emotional regulation is learning to tolerate discomfort without immediate reaction. Pressure often produces strong, unpleasant emotions. The temptation to escape, lash out, or act impulsively is intense. Yet the ability to remain present with these emotions, to experience them without surrendering to them, is the foundation of resilience. This does not mean suppression. Suppression only buries emotions temporarily, creating future eruptions. True regulation involves acknowledgement, processing, and deliberate action. It is the difference between exploding in anger and calmly addressing a conflict, between panicking in uncertainty and methodically navigating the situation, between allowing fear to paralyze and using it to sharpen focus. Developing emotional regulation requires deliberate practice. Start by observing emotions as they arise. Name them internally: fear, frustration, excitement, anxiety. Recognize the physical and mental cues associated with each. Then implement tools such as controlled breathing, pausing before responding, and reframing the situation. Over time, this process becomes habitual. Emotional awareness and control strengthen the neural pathways that support calm decision-making, focus, and clarity. Just as muscles grow stronger with repeated training, the capacity to regulate emotion grows with consistent practice. Another critical aspect of mastery is cultivating emotional agility, the ability to shift emotional states intentionally. Emotional agility allows you to move from frustration to curiosity, from panic to problem-solving, or from doubt to confidence. It requires both self-awareness and deliberate cognitive and physical strategies. By training the mind to pivot from reactive states to constructive ones, you enhance mental clarity and increase performance under pressure. Emotional agility is not about avoiding feelings. It is about directing them purposefully to achieve desired outcomes. Empathy and understanding of others' emotions also play a crucial role. High-pressure situations often involve collaboration, negotiation, or leadership. The ability to regulate your own emotions allows you to interpret others' reactions accurately and respond with clarity and composure. When you remain steady, you influence those around you positively, guiding teams through challenges with confidence and poise. Emotional regulation is not just personal, it is relational. It enhances communication, strengthens trust, and enables constructive problem-solving in any social context. It is important to recognize that mastery of emotion does not mean the elimination of strong feelings. Pressure will always provoke fear, anger, or anxiety. What changes is your relationship with these emotions. You learn to observe them without judgment, to interpret them without distortion, and to act with intention rather than impulse. The mind becomes a vessel for insight, creativity, and strategy, rather than a storm tossed by uncontrolled emotion. Emotional regulation transforms pressure from a source of chaos into a catalyst for performance. Building this skill requires commitment. Daily reflection, mindfulness exercises, controlled exposure to stress, and deliberate practice in responding rather than reacting strengthen the capacity to regulate emotion. Each challenging interaction, each high-stakes decision, and each moment of internal conflict becomes a training opportunity. Over time, the nervous system learns that emotions are signals, not threats, and the mind develops resilience. The result is a person who can navigate life's pressures with calm authority, clarity of thought, and decisive action. Emotional regulation also improves decision-making under pressure. When the mind is calm, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning, planning, and judgment, operates optimally. You can evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and make choices aligned with your goals and values. When emotions dominate, decisions are rushed, impulsive, or defensive. By mastering your reactions, you create the mental space to think strategically, weigh alternatives, and act decisively. Emotional control is not restraint, it is freedom, the freedom to respond effectively, think clearly, and act with purpose. Finally, emotional mastery reinforces confidence and self-trust. Knowing that you can maintain composure under pressure cultivates inner certainty. You are no longer at the mercy of every surge of fear, anger, or frustration. Instead, you know you have the capacity to observe, process, and act. This self-trust is a compounding advantage. It reduces anxiety about future challenges, strengthens resilience in the face of adversity, and enhances overall mental performance. Emotional regulation is not only a tool, it is the foundation for self-assurance and unshakable clarity. In conclusion, mastering your emotions is the gateway to thinking clearly under pressure. Awareness of emotional states, understanding their origins, and applying deliberate strategies for regulation transforms stress from a paralyzing force into a source of focus and action. Breath, posture, tension release, mindfulness, and cognitive reframing all work together to create a mind capable of calm, strategic, and decisive action. Emotional regulation is not an abstract concept. It is the skill that allows you to perform at your best when the world demands it most. By committing to practice and reflection, you develop the ability to observe, process, and respond to emotions with clarity and purpose. Pressure will always exist, and emotions will always arise, but mastery over them empowers you to navigate any challenge with composure, confidence, and effectiveness. Emotional regulation is the bridge between reaction and response, between chaos and strategy, between fear and clarity. It is the essential skill for anyone who wishes to thrive under pressure, think clearly, and achieve extraordinary results. The path forward is simple yet demanding. Notice your emotions, understand their messages, regulate your physiological and cognitive responses, and act intentionally. With consistent practice, emotional mastery becomes a habit, a natural state, and a superpower that allows you to perform with excellence under any circumstance. Pressure remains inevitable, but your mind, guided by deliberate emotional regulation, becomes unshakable. You are no longer a victim of circumstance or impulse. You are the captain of your mental state, capable of thinking clearly, acting decisively, and excelling under pressure. Chapter 4: Focus and Attention, the Key to Clarity. In a world overflowing with information demands and constant stimulation, focus has become the most valuable mental asset a person can possess. Every day, our minds are bombarded with notifications, interruptions, and competing priorities. Thoughts pull us in multiple directions simultaneously, leaving little room for clarity, strategic thinking, or purposeful action. In high-pressure situations, this scattered attention can be devastating. Decisions are delayed, mistakes multiply, and opportunities vanish. The ability to focus, truly, deliberately, and consistently, is the foundation of clear thinking under pressure. Focus is not merely about attention, it is the gateway to control over your mind, mastery over your actions, and precision in your results. Focus begins with understanding its nature. Attention is not unlimited. The human brain has a finite capacity to process information at any given time. When attention is fragmented, performance suffers. The mind drifts, thoughts compete for dominance, and mental fatigue sets in. When stress rises, the problem is magnified. Anxiety narrows perception, hypervigilance fragments attention, and cognitive resources are diverted toward worry or fear. This is why high-pressure moments often feel overwhelming. The mind is trying to juggle too much while the clock ticks and stakes remain high. Clarity emerges when focus is directed intentionally, when distractions are minimized, and when attention is disciplined toward what truly matters. To cultivate focus, one must first recognize the distractions that erode it. Distractions are not limited to external interruptions, they are also internal. Thoughts, worries, doubts, and emotions pull attention away from the task at hand, often without conscious awareness. The mind may ruminate on what went wrong, anticipate future challenges, or chase irrelevant details. These mental diversions are insidious because they feel urgent, yet they rarely contribute to solving the current problem. Awareness of these internal distractions is essential. By observing when attention drifts and gently redirecting it to the task at hand, you begin to reclaim control over mental energy and clarity. Prioritization is a cornerstone of focus. In moments of stress, everything can feel urgent, and the mind can become paralyzed by the volume of demands. Developing the ability to identify what truly matters in the moment is critical. High-pressure situations require rapid triage, separating tasks that are critical from those that are secondary, discerning which actions will yield the greatest impact, and allocating mental resources accordingly. This prioritization allows the mind to operate with purpose rather than scatter, transforming overwhelming pressure into structured opportunity. Sustaining attention is equally important. Focus is not merely the ability to start a task, it is the ability to maintain attention over time, resisting the pull of fatigue, distraction, and internal chatter. This requires both mental discipline and physiological readiness. Techniques such as time blocking, deliberate pauses, and micro breaks help preserve mental energy. Equally important is reducing environmental distractions, creating a space conducive to concentration, minimizing interruptions, and setting boundaries on the consumption of external stimuli. By managing both internal and external sources of distraction, sustained focus becomes achievable even under intense pressure. Mental exercises to sharpen focus are powerful tools for building clarity. Practices such as meditation, visualization, and single-tasking train the mind to maintain attention deliberately. Meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex, enhancing cognitive control and reducing susceptibility to distraction. Visualization primes the brain to execute tasks with precision, allowing focus to become automatic when stress arises. Single tasking, the practice of concentrating fully on one activity at a time, reinforces the neural pathways responsible for sustained attention and mental clarity. Repetition of these exercises strengthens focus muscles over time, transforming what once required effort into effortless concentration. Stress-resilient focus is not merely a cognitive skill, it is a holistic practice involving body, mind, and environment. Physical factors such as posture, breathing, and movement influence attention. Fatigue, hunger, or tension can erode the ability to concentrate, while physiological regulation, deep breathing, proper alignment, and energy management supports sustained mental performance. Similarly, emotional states affect focus. Anxiety and emotional turbulence fragment attention, while composure and confidence stabilize it. The integration of body, mind, and environment creates conditions in which focus can flourish, even when external pressures are intense. Clarity under pressure requires adaptive focus. Not all attention is created equal. Some situations demand deep, sustained concentration, while others require scanning for critical cues or rapidly switching between priorities. Developing the ability to adjust attention to meet situational demands is a hallmark of mental resilience. For instance, a leader in a crisis must alternate between detailed problem-solving and big-picture strategic thinking. A professional facing a tight deadline must block out all distractions and work with laser precision. Adaptive focus allows the mind to allocate resources efficiently, maintaining clarity regardless of the complexity or intensity of the situation. Another key aspect of focus is minimizing mental clutter. The mind functions optimally when it is not burdened by irrelevant thoughts, doubts, or unresolved issues. Mental clutter consumes attention, amplifies stress, and reduces clarity. Techniques such as journaling, reflection, and setting aside time to process concerns help clear the mind. By consciously addressing lingering thoughts and concerns, you free cognitive resources to focus on the task at hand. A decluttered mind is a focused mind, and focus is the precursor to clarity. High-pressure situations often test focus because urgency increases the tendency to multitask. Multitasking, though culturally praised as efficiency, is a major threat to mental clarity. The brain cannot truly perform multiple cognitive tasks simultaneously. Instead, it switches rapidly between them, reducing efficiency, accuracy, and strategic thinking. When pressure rises, the cost of multitasking escalates. Maintaining singular focus, fully engaging with one task, one decision, one conversation at a time, is essential. This concentrated attention enhances performance, reduces errors, and preserves the mental bandwidth necessary for high-stakes problem-solving. Focus also amplifies decision-making. Clear attention allows the brain to evaluate information thoroughly, consider alternatives, and anticipate consequences. When focus is fragmented, decisions are rushed, incomplete, or reactive. When focus is deliberate, decisions are deliberate, strategic, and aligned with objectives. Maintaining attention under pressure is therefore not a luxury, it is the foundation of effective action. Each moment of focused engagement magnifies your capacity to perform, transforming stress from a threat into an arena for success. Developing focus is a lifelong practice. It requires deliberate exercises, consistent reflection, and daily commitment. Training the mind to resist distraction, prioritize effectively, and sustain attention builds a mental environment in which clarity is automatic. Over time, these practices create a resilient mind capable of navigating any challenge with composure and precision. Mental clarity becomes not an occasional occurrence, but a default state, a natural response to pressure rather than a struggle against it. The benefits of mastery over focus extend beyond immediate performance. A focused mind experiences reduced stress, improved emotional regulation, and enhanced cognitive capacity. Productivity increases, decisions improve, and confidence grows. Clarity becomes a habit, allowing you to approach every challenge strategically rather than reactively. The ability to maintain attention in the midst of chaos creates an inner stability that becomes self-reinforcing. The more clearly you think, the more composed you become, and the more composed you are, the clearer your thinking. In high-pressure moments, focus is not optional. It is the difference between performing at your best and being overwhelmed by circumstances. It is the bridge between awareness and action, between knowledge and execution, between anxiety and strategic confidence. By prioritizing focus, managing distractions, maintaining attention, and integrating mind-body practices, you create the conditions for your mind to operate at its peak. Pressure does not disappear, but the ability to navigate it with clarity and precision becomes your superpower. The journey to focused clarity begins with small steps, observing when attention drifts, deliberately directing it to priority tasks, and practicing sustained engagement. Over time, these small acts of discipline compound into a powerful mental habit. Just as an athlete trains muscles through repetition and resistance, the mind strengthens through sustained intentional focus. Each day of practice enhances the brain's ability to resist distraction, maintain clarity, and operate decisively, even under intense pressure. Focus is the engine of clear thinking under pressure. It transforms mental overload into strategic insight, emotional turbulence into composure, and chaos into purposeful action. Without focus, the mind is at the mercy of external demands and internal distractions. With focus, the mind becomes an instrument of precision, capable of navigating complexity, solving problems efficiently, and performing at the highest level. Clarity is not accidental. It is cultivated, nurtured, and defended through disciplined attention. Ultimately, the mastery of focus is the mastery of the mind. It allows you to act intentionally, resist distraction, and think strategically even when stress and urgency rise. By committing to deliberate attention, prioritizing effectively, sustaining engagement, and practicing mental exercises daily, you build a mental environment in which clarity, composure, and peak performance are inevitable. Focus is not a skill reserved for the naturally gifted. It is a discipline, a practice, and a mindset that anyone can cultivate. Pressure will always exist. Distractions will always arise. Stress will always challenge your attention. But by mastering focus, you create the conditions for consistent clarity. Your mind becomes an unshakable instrument, capable of navigating complexity with precision, executing decisions with confidence, and performing under pressure at the highest level. Focus is not simply attention, it is the key to clarity, the foundation of strategic action, and the gateway to excellence in every high-stakes situation. The path forward is clear. Observe your attention, eliminate distractions, prioritize effectively, and practice sustaining focus daily. Integrate mind-body strategies, cultivate mindfulness, and train mental agility. With commitment and repetition, you will build a mind that can cut through chaos, resist overwhelm, and perform with calm clarity under any circumstance. Focus is the foundation, clarity is the outcome, performance under pressure is the reward. Chapter 5: Decision-Making Under Pressure. Life rarely offers perfect conditions for decision-making. Often the most critical choices come with urgency, uncertainty, and high stakes. Whether in personal challenges, professional crises, or split-second emergencies, decisions under pressure test not only knowledge but also composure, clarity, and confidence. The ability to make sound choices when stakes are high is not innate, it is a skill, a mental discipline, and a result of consistent practice. This chapter is dedicated to helping you cultivate the frameworks, strategies and mindset necessary to make decisions confidently and effectively, even when the world seems to be closing in. Pressure magnifies every aspect of decision-making. When stakes are high, fear and stress amplify uncertainty, narrowing your perspective and intensifying internal conflict. The brain under stress often defaults to quick reactive choices. Emotional hijacking, the surge of fight-or-flight responses, can push you toward impulsive decisions that may feel urgent but rarely serve long-term objectives. Awareness of this tendency is the first step toward mastery. Understanding that pressure distorts perception allows you to pause, observe, and engage deliberate frameworks that protect clarity and ensure reasoned action. A fundamental strategy for effective decision-making is breaking complex problems into manageable parts. Large, high-pressure decisions often feel overwhelming because they are perceived as monolithic, with too many variables, too many unknowns, and too much at stake. By dissecting the problem into smaller, more controllable components, you create mental clarity and actionable steps. This approach reduces the cognitive load, allowing the mind to focus on solving one piece at a time. Each small decision builds momentum, reduces anxiety, and increases confidence, turning a seemingly insurmountable challenge into a series of achievable actions. Scenario planning is another essential tool. High-pressure decisions rarely come with complete information. Uncertainty is inevitable, but preparation allows you to anticipate potential outcomes and mitigate risks. Visualizing different scenarios, the best case, worst case, and most likely outcomes, enables strategic thinking under pressure. Scenario planning is not about predicting the future perfectly. It is about equipping the mind to adapt, anticipate consequences, and remain composed when unforeseen variables arise. This practice builds flexibility and foresight, reducing fear and indecision when the moment of choice arrives. Effective decision-making also requires balancing short-term versus long-term outcomes. Under pressure, the mind is naturally drawn to immediate consequences, often at the expense of long-term objectives. Short-term thinking can result in reactive choices that alleviate immediate stress, but create larger problems later. By consciously considering the long-term implications of each option, you create a framework that aligns immediate action with strategic goals. This perspective transforms decision-making from a reaction to a deliberate exercise in foresight, prioritization, and responsibility. The ability to weigh immediate urgency against future impact is a hallmark of mentally strong, high-performing individuals. Confidence under pressure comes from both preparation and process. While no framework can eliminate uncertainty entirely, structured approaches provide clarity and reduce the chaos of indecision. When you understand the steps to analyze, prioritize, and act, your confidence increases, not because outcomes are guaranteed, but because your mind has been trained to navigate complexity. Confidence is not overestimation, it is trust in the process, trust in your ability to respond effectively, and trust in the mental skills you have cultivated through consistent practice. Decision-making under pressure also benefits from the integration of emotional regulation and focus. Strong emotions, stress, and anxiety can cloud judgment, distort probabilities, and amplify perceived risks. Focused attention ensures that cognitive resources are directed toward relevant information, rather than being scattered by fear or distraction. Emotional regulation prevents reactive choices driven by panic or frustration. Together, calm focus and emotional control allow you to engage the brain's higher reasoning centers, the prefrontal cortex, ensuring decisions are deliberate, strategic, and aligned with objectives rather than driven by impulse. Time management is a critical factor in high-pressure decision-making. Paradoxically, time pressure can both sharpen and impair thinking. When used wisely, deadlines focus attention, eliminate distractions, and accelerate action. When mismanaged, they create panic, rushed choices, and avoidable errors. Effective decision-makers allocate time strategically, ensuring enough space to evaluate options while acknowledging the urgency of the situation. Techniques such as setting short internal deadlines, prioritizing critical information, and allowing brief reflective pauses optimize decision quality without succumbing to paralysis by analysis. Collecting relevant information efficiently is also essential. In high-pressure situations, waiting for perfect data is often impossible. Instead, you must identify the information that matters most and ignore extraneous details. Clarity emerges when the mind is focused on what is essential, rather than overwhelmed by the totality of available input. This requires discernment, judgment, and the ability to filter noise from signal. Skilled decision-makers recognize that action is often better than delay, and that sufficient information combined with structured frameworks outweighs waiting for certainty that may never come. Mental rehearsal and visualization are additional tools for preparing for high-stakes decisions. By imagining critical scenarios, weighing options, and mentally simulating outcomes, you condition the mind to respond with composure and clarity when actual decisions arise. Visualization allows the brain to experience pressure, uncertainty, and consequences in a controlled setting, building confidence and reducing cognitive resistance. This preparation transforms fear into readiness, hesitation into decisiveness, and uncertainty into strategic adaptability. Collaboration and perspective are often overlooked components of decision-making under pressure. High-pressure situations are rarely navigated alone. Consulting trusted advisors, team members, or mentors introduces new viewpoints, mitigates blind spots, and enhances the quality of decisions. The ability to solicit input without being swayed by emotion or opinion is a skill in itself, one that requires clarity, self-confidence, and discipline. By combining structured frameworks, personal judgment, and collective insight, decisions become more robust and outcomes more predictable. High-pressure decision-making is also about embracing imperfection. No choice is ever without risk, and no plan can anticipate every variable. Mastery is not about eliminating mistakes, it is about creating a mindset that allows action in the face of uncertainty. Procrastination, hesitation, or avoidance often cause more harm than the wrong choice itself. By accepting that uncertainty is inherent, and by equipping the mind with frameworks, strategies, and focus, you develop resilience. Mistakes become feedback, outcomes become lessons, and each decision strengthens your capacity to handle the next high-stakes challenge with greater clarity and confidence. Reflection is a vital component of the process. After critical decisions, reviewing the outcomes, evaluating the process, and understanding what worked and what did not builds long-term skill. This reflection reinforces patterns of clarity, identifies gaps in judgment, and strengthens confidence. High-performing individuals treat each decision as both an immediate action and an opportunity for learning. Through consistent reflection, decision-making under pressure becomes less stressful, more accurate, and increasingly intuitive. Decision-making frameworks also encourage ethical and value-aligned choices. High-pressure moments often present temptations to act impulsively, prioritizing speed over integrity. By grounding decisions in personal values, principles, and long-term objectives, clarity is reinforced. Ethical alignment strengthens confidence, reduces internal conflict, and ensures that high-stakes actions support not only immediate goals but also broader purpose. Clear thinking under pressure is inseparable from clear values. The two reinforce one another, guiding the mind toward decisions that are both effective and meaningful. Developing mental habits for decision-making under pressure is essential. Regular practice with smaller, lower-stakes decisions strengthens neural pathways, enhances confidence, and improves the ability to stay composed under greater pressure. Just as physical training prepares the body for extreme performance, mental exercises prepare the mind to act decisively, strategically, and calmly when stakes are high. The accumulation of these experiences compounds into instinctive clarity and resilience, ensuring that high-pressure moments are opportunities for excellence rather than sources of overwhelm. Ultimately, decision-making under pressure is the intersection of awareness, preparation, focus, and courage. Awareness allows you to understand your emotions and cognitive patterns. Preparation provides structured frameworks to analyze and act. Focus ensures attention is directed toward what truly matters. Courage allows action despite uncertainty and imperfection. Together, these elements form a mindset capable of navigating high-stakes situations with confidence, precision, and clarity. Pressure becomes not an obstacle, but a stage for demonstrating mastery over the mind. The reward of mastering decision-making under pressure is profound. With clarity and composure, opportunities are seized, crises are managed, and goals are achieved. Stress becomes manageable because the mind has trained itself to respond strategically, rather than react impulsively. Each successful decision reinforces self-trust, confidence, and resilience, creating a compounding effect. The more decisions you navigate effectively under pressure, the stronger and clearer your mind becomes for the next challenge. In conclusion, high-pressure decision-making is not a skill reserved for the naturally gifted. It is the result of deliberate practice, structured frameworks, emotional mastery, focus, preparation, and courage. By breaking complex problems into manageable parts, planning for scenarios, weighing short-term and long-term outcomes, managing information efficiently, and integrating reflection, you develop the mental clarity and confidence to act decisively when it matters most. Decision-making under pressure is both a discipline and an art, a skill that transforms uncertainty into action, fear into focus, and pressure into opportunity. Mastery begins with awareness, is strengthened by practice, and is reinforced by reflection. Every moment of high stakes is an opportunity to engage your mind, sharpen your judgment, and build resilience. No matter the complexity, the uncertainty, or the urgency, a mind trained to think clearly under pressure is unstoppable. Pressure will always exist, but the ability to decide with clarity and confidence under that pressure is the ultimate superpower, a skill that defines performance, leadership, and personal excellence in every aspect of life. Chapter 6: Mental Preparation and Visualization. Pressure does not wait for readiness. It arrives unannounced, demanding performance, clarity, and composure at the very moment we might feel least prepared. The challenge is not that pressure is inherently unfair, it is that our minds are often untrained to handle it. The difference between those who crumble and those who thrive under pressure is preparation, but not just preparation in the traditional sense of planning and logistics. The preparation that separates high performers is mental. It is the deliberate practice of preparing the mind to respond, adapt, and excel when stakes are high. Mental preparation and visualization are the tools that allow your brain to anticipate pressure, rehearse responses, and perform with confidence before the moment even arrives. Mental preparation begins with awareness. Most people approach high-pressure situations as if they are unpredictable storms, hoping instinct will guide them. Instinct alone is insufficient. Under stress, the brain's primitive survival centers often override rational thought, producing fear, impulsivity, and indecision. By training the mind to anticipate challenges, you create a bridge between preparation and performance. Mental rehearsal allows the mind to experience pressure in a controlled environment, activating the neural pathways that will be used during real-world challenges. In essence, the mind learns that it has faced this scenario before, and is capable of handling it with skill and composure. Visualization is one of the most powerful techniques for mental preparation. Athletes, performers, military leaders, and top executives all use it intuitively. Visualization is more than mere imagination. It is a structured mental exercise in which the brain practices actions, strategies, and responses as if they were real. When you visualize yourself navigating a high-pressure scenario with calm, focus, and decisiveness, the brain encodes those patterns into memory and neural circuitry. Research in neuroscience shows that the brain often cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and actual experiences, meaning that mental rehearsal prepares the mind for real-life performance almost as effectively as physical practice. Effective visualization is detailed and immersive. It is not enough to think vaguely, "I will handle the situation well." You must see the environment, anticipate potential challenges, sense the stress you might feel, and picture yourself responding with clarity and composure. Imagine the sounds, the visuals, the interactions, the decisions, and even the emotions that arise. This mental simulation allows the mind to practice managing both the technical and emotional aspects of high-pressure moments. Each rehearsal strengthens confidence, reduces anxiety, and primes the mind to act strategically when the situation arises. Mental rehearsal also includes anticipating obstacles and setbacks. High-pressure situations are rarely linear or predictable. Problems arise, distractions occur, and unexpected variables challenge performance. By imagining potential difficulties and practicing responses to them, you train the mind to remain flexible, composed, and solution-focused. This reduces panic when things do not go perfectly, allowing adaptability to replace fear and improvisation to replace hesitation. Mental preparation transforms uncertainty from a source of anxiety into a source of clarity and confidence. Consistency is key. Mental preparation and visualization are skills strengthened through repeated practice. Short daily sessions in which you visualize high-pressure scenarios, rehearse responses, and reinforce focus create neural patterns that are easily accessed when real pressure strikes. Just as physical exercise strengthens muscles, mental rehearsal strengthens neural pathways responsible for calm decision-making, composure, and strategic action. Over time, facing high-pressure situations becomes less intimidating, not because the stakes decrease, but because the mind has learned to navigate them effectively. The benefits of visualization extend beyond calmness. They enhance performance at every level. Mental rehearsal improves decision-making by giving the brain prior exposure to potential scenarios, reducing hesitation and indecision. It sharpens focus by allowing the mind to practice sustained attention in high-stakes contexts. It strengthens emotional regulation by repeatedly exposing the mind to the feelings that accompany stress, enabling deliberate response rather than reactive impulse. Mental preparation turns uncertainty into familiarity, chaos into structure, and fear into confidence. Another dimension of mental preparation involves scripting responses. In professional or personal high-pressure situations, anticipating conversations, negotiations, or interactions and rehearsing them mentally can dramatically improve clarity and composure. By envisioning the dialogue, the questions, the potential objections, and your responses, you prepare your mind to act with precision and confidence. This does not remove spontaneity, it enhances it. By grounding your reactions in rehearsal, you free mental energy for adaptability, creativity, and strategic insight. Mental preparation also intersects with goal clarity. Visualizing high-pressure situations is most effective when aligned with clear objectives. Knowing what you want to achieve and focusing your rehearsal on those outcomes ensures that your mental practice strengthens the exact skills and responses required for success. The mind is far more effective when guided by purpose, Direction amplifies the benefits of visualization and ensures that mental preparation translates directly into high-stakes performance. Breathing and physiological regulation complement mental preparation. Visualization is enhanced when combined with controlled breathing, posture awareness, and muscle relaxation. By imagining high-pressure scenarios while maintaining physical composure, you condition the body to mirror the calm state of the mind. The combination of mental rehearsal and physiological control ensures that the body does not betray the mind under pressure, reinforcing clarity, focus, and strategic thinking. Emotional rehearsal is equally critical. High-pressure scenarios are accompanied by intense emotions: fear, excitement, frustration, or doubt. Mental preparation is not only about practicing decisions, but also about experiencing and managing these emotional surges in advance. By repeatedly exposing yourself to the emotional landscape of pressure in a safe, controlled mental space, you develop resilience. Emotions become information, not obstacles. You learn to interpret fear as heightened awareness, frustration as an indicator for adjustment, and stress as a signal to focus. This integration of cognitive and emotional rehearsal strengthens the mind's capacity to operate calmly and effectively in real situations. The mind, when prepared, performs with confidence. Confidence does not arise from certainty about the outcome, it arises from certainty in your ability to navigate the process. Mental preparation and visualization provide this certainty. When you have rehearsed decisions, anticipated challenges, and practiced responses, the mind trusts itself. Fear is reduced, hesitation disappears, and clarity emerges naturally. Confidence under pressure is therefore a direct product of deliberate preparation, not blind optimism. Mental preparation also fosters adaptability. Visualization allows the mind to explore multiple scenarios, including unexpected complications. By rehearsing alternative responses, contingency plans, and decision pathways, you prepare for the unknown. This flexibility transforms pressure from a threat into a testing ground for problem-solving and creativity. The more thoroughly you mentally prepare, the more fluidly you respond to surprises, turning high-pressure challenges into opportunities for performance and growth. Repetition compounds results. Each session of mental rehearsal reinforces neural circuits, solidifies strategic thinking patterns, and strengthens emotional resilience. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to remain calm, focused, and deliberate under stress. High-pressure moments become familiar terrain rather than foreign territory. The more you practice pressure in your mind, the less intimidating it becomes in reality. Mental preparation is not an instant solution, it is an investment in long-term mental resilience and performance. Visualization is not limited to individuals. Teams and organizations benefit as well. Leaders can guide teams through imagined scenarios, rehearsing coordination, communication, and decision-making before real crises occur. Group visualization aligns responses, builds collective confidence, and reduces panic during actual high-pressure events. This principle scales. The more you mentally simulate challenges, the stronger your ability to maintain clarity and composure individually or collectively. Mental preparation also improves recovery. Mistakes and setbacks are inevitable under pressure, but prior rehearsal equips the mind to respond constructively. Visualization of mistakes and practicing recovery pathways teaches resilience. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism or panic, you engage deliberate steps to correct course, analyze outcomes, and continue performing with confidence. Mental preparation does not guarantee perfection. It guarantees composure, clarity, and effective action in the face of imperfection. Finally, mental preparation and visualization cultivate a mindset of mastery. Pressure is no longer a source of fear but a proving ground for skill, resilience, and clarity. Each rehearsal, each scenario, each imagined challenge strengthens the mind's capacity to remain composed and effective. You approach high-pressure situations with the quiet confidence of someone who has already navigated the terrain mentally, turning fear into focus, uncertainty into strategy, and stress into opportunity. In conclusion, performing at your best under pressure is not a matter of luck, talent, or innate ability. It is the product of deliberate mental preparation. Visualization, rehearsal, scenario planning, emotional management, and physiological regulation all combine to create a mind ready to act decisively, clearly, and confidently when it matters most. Mental preparation allows the mind to experience, practice, and master pressure before it arrives, transforming uncertainty into readiness, fear into confidence, and chaos into clarity. By committing to daily mental rehearsal, visualization of high-pressure scenarios, and anticipation of challenges, you equip your mind to perform at its highest potential. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, emotion, or urgency. Instead, you become a master of your internal world, capable of responding strategically, calmly, and decisively. Mental preparation and visualization are the ultimate tools for thinking clearly under pressure. They allow the mind to rehearse success, anticipate obstacles, and emerge resilient, confident, and unstoppable in the real world. Chapter 7. Overcoming Fear and Doubt in Critical Moments. Fear and doubt are among the most powerful forces that interfere with clear thinking under pressure. They are universal human experiences, appearing at the exact moments when composure, clarity, and decisive action are most needed. In critical situations, fear can tighten the chest, accelerate the heartbeat, and paralyze thought. Doubt can cloud judgment, erode confidence, and create hesitation that costs opportunities. Yet these seemingly destructive forces are not enemies to be avoided. They are signals to be understood, reframed, and harnessed. The ability to transform fear and doubt into focus, confidence, and motivation is a defining trait of those who perform at their best under pressure. Fear exists for a reason. It is an evolutionary response designed to protect us from threats. When the body perceives danger, the brain triggers physiological changes. Adrenaline surges, muscles tense, senses sharpen, and the mind focuses on survival. In prehistoric times, these reactions could save lives in moments of immediate physical danger. Today, fear persists in response to stress, risk, uncertainty, and high-stakes decisions. The difference is that the threats we face are often abstract or psychological rather than physical. The same fear response that once helped us survive now has the potential to undermine clarity, confidence, and performance if not consciously managed. Recognizing that fear is a natural, adaptive response is the first step toward mastering it. Doubt is equally pervasive, though it operates more subtly than fear. Doubt arises when we question our abilities, decisions, or judgment. It magnifies perceived risks, undermines confidence, and fosters indecision. Like fear, doubt has a purpose. It encourages reflection, caution, and preparation. However, when excessive, doubt becomes paralyzing, creating hesitation where action is required, and turning uncertainty into a self-imposed barrier. Understanding that doubt signals an internal assessment process, rather than a verdict of inadequacy, allows you to engage with it constructively. Fear and doubt are not signs of weakness. They are signals that your mind and body are preparing you to act with attention, care, and energy. The first step in overcoming fear and doubt is awareness. Notice when they arise, acknowledge their presence, and identify their triggers. This may be a tightness in the chest, a racing heart, a sudden flood of negative thoughts, or the sensation of hesitation. Awareness creates distance. By labeling fear as fear and doubt as doubt, you interrupt the automatic spiral that can overwhelm decision-making. Observation without judgment transforms fear from an obstacle into a manageable signal. Once recognized, fear and doubt can be channeled productively rather than suppressing them or allowing them to dictate your actions. Reframing is the next critical step. Fear can be reframed as heightened alertness, readiness, or an opportunity to focus. Instead of perceiving fear as a barrier, see it as a source of energy, sharpening awareness and priming the body for action. Similarly, doubt can be reframed as an invitation to prepare, to seek clarity, and to double-check assumptions. By changing the narrative surrounding these emotions, you convert them from paralyzing forces into constructive signals that enhance decision-making and performance. Reframing is not wishful thinking. It is a deliberate cognitive shift that harnesses natural reactions for strategic advantage. Breathing and physiological regulation are essential tools in managing fear and doubt. The body and mind are inseparable. Anxiety, tension, and physiological arousal amplify fear, while calm physiology enhances composure. Controlled breathing slows the heart rate, reduces adrenaline surges, and signals the brain that the threat is manageable. Posture, movement, and muscle relaxation further reinforce mental calm. By training the body to remain steady in moments of fear, the mind can think clearly and act decisively. Physiological mastery amplifies the power of cognitive reframing, creating a foundation of composure under pressure. Visualization and mental rehearsal are also powerful techniques. By mentally simulating high-pressure scenarios where fear and doubt arise, you prepare the mind to respond with confidence and clarity. Imagine the challenges, anticipate obstacles, and see yourself navigating them successfully. Each rehearsal strengthens neural pathways, reduces anxiety, and builds a mental blueprint for action. When the real moment arrives, the mind recognizes patterns it has already practiced, fear is diminished, and doubt is replaced with a sense of readiness. Visualization is not avoidance. It is preparation that transforms uncertainty into familiarity and strengthens the mind's capacity to respond. Action is perhaps the most powerful antidote to fear and doubt. Fear thrives on inaction, feeding on hesitation and imagined consequences. Action breaks the cycle. By taking decisive steps, no matter how small, you shift from reaction to response, from worry to movement, from paralysis to control. Each action reinforces confidence, demonstrates capability, and weakens the grip of fear. The moment of action is the moment when clarity is restored. Fear and doubt are not eliminated. They are integrated into deliberate, purposeful behavior that produces results rather than surrendering to them. Focus amplifies the effect of these strategies. Fear and doubt tend to scatter attention, directing the mind toward worst-case scenarios or irrelevant details. Deliberate focus redirects cognitive resources toward what matters most: the task, the decision, and the immediate action steps. Concentration allows the mind to process information accurately, assess risk intelligently, and act with precision. Focus transforms fear-driven distraction into strategic attention, creating mental clarity even when stakes are high. Self-talk and internal dialogue are also critical. The narratives we tell ourselves in moments of fear can either empower or undermine performance. Phrases such as "I cannot handle this" or "I am not ready" amplify anxiety and doubt. Replacing these with constructive, action-oriented statements, "I have trained for this, I can manage this, one step at a time," reinforces confidence and resilience. Mental rehearsal of positive self-talk, combined with cognitive reframing, ensures that internal dialogue supports performance rather than obstructing it. Courage under pressure is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite fear. Mentally strong individuals do not wait for fear to disappear. They take deliberate action in alignment with goals and values. Courage is cultivated through experience, practice, and small acts of deliberate risk-taking. By consistently exposing yourself to challenges, discomfort, and high-stakes situations in controlled ways, you build resilience. Each successful engagement strengthens the mind's capacity to remain composed, decisive, and clear thinking under stress. Fear becomes a teacher, not a master, guiding preparation, sharpening focus, and energizing purposeful action. Reflection reinforces growth. After facing fear and doubt in critical moments, analyzing the experience consolidates learning. Identify what worked, what triggered excessive fear, and how doubt was navigated. Reflection strengthens awareness, sharpens future responses, and builds confidence. Over time, repeated cycles of exposure, action, and reflection create a mind that anticipates challenges, embraces discomfort, and performs consistently under pressure. The brain learns that fear and doubt are manageable, not insurmountable, transforming pressure from a threat into a platform for growth and mastery. Support systems also play a role. Mentors, coaches, colleagues, or trusted friends provide perspective, guidance, and reassurance when doubt threatens clarity. Sharing fears, discussing strategies, and receiving feedback reduce cognitive and emotional load, enabling more confident action. Collaboration does not diminish personal strength. It enhances it by reinforcing mental frameworks, validating preparation, and ensuring that critical decisions are not made in isolation from insight and support. The ultimate transformation occurs when fear and doubt are integrated into performance rather than avoided. Mental preparation, visualization, controlled breathing, focus, deliberate action, and constructive self-talk combine to create a resilient mindset. Fear and doubt become signals to prepare, opportunities to focus, and catalysts for action. The mind becomes disciplined, confident, and capable of thinking clearly even when stakes are high, deadlines are tight, or outcomes are uncertain. High-pressure moments become opportunities to demonstrate mastery, rather than occasions for hesitation or regret. Confidence under pressure is the natural outcome of this integration. When the mind has been trained to recognize fear, understand doubt, and respond deliberately, clarity emerges effortlessly. You no longer wait for the perfect emotional state. You act with purpose regardless of internal turbulence. Fear sharpens attention rather than immobilizing it. Doubt refines decision-making rather than paralyzing it. The result is a mind that is unshakable, decisive, and resilient, capable of navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, and performing at its highest potential in every critical moment. In conclusion, fear and doubt are not enemies, they are signals, guides, and teachers. The key to mastery is awareness, cognitive reframing, emotional regulation, visualization, deliberate action, focus, self-talk, courage, reflection, and support. By understanding and practicing these principles, you transform fear into focus, doubt into confidence, and pressure into performance. High-stakes moments will always provoke strong emotion, but the mind trained to engage fear constructively thrives where others falter. Every time you face fear and doubt and choose deliberate action, you strengthen neural pathways for calm, confident, and clear thinking performance. Every critical moment becomes an opportunity to prove to yourself that composure, focus, and decisive action are within your control. Fear may arise, doubt may whisper, but your response, trained, deliberate, and confident, determines the outcome. By embracing these strategies, you develop the ultimate mental advantage, the ability to perform with clarity, courage, and excellence under pressure, every time it matters most. Chapter 8: Stress-Proof Habits for Long-Term Mental Resilience. Mental clarity under pressure is not an accidental gift. It is the product of consistent practice, deliberate routines, and habits that train the mind to remain composed, focused, and decisive when life's challenges are greatest. High-pressure moments expose the cracks in our mental armor. Without preparation, distraction, doubt, and anxiety can dominate. Yet by cultivating the right habits over time, calmness and clarity can become automatic responses, no longer dependent on fleeting motivation or willpower. Stress-proof habits transform mental resilience from a reactive skill into a durable state of being, ensuring that your mind remains sharp and your decisions intentional regardless of circumstance. The foundation of mental resilience is consistency. Just as physical strength is built through repeated exercise, the mind grows stronger through repeated practice. Daily habits that reinforce focus, emotional regulation, and problem-solving create neural pathways that allow clarity under pressure to become second nature. Consistency is not glamorous, it is quiet, persistent, and cumulative. Over time, the cumulative effect of small deliberate actions produces remarkable results. By committing to regular mental training, you equip your mind to withstand pressure with ease, turning stress into an ally rather than a threat. One of the most effective habits for long-term resilience is daily mental exercises. These can take many forms: meditation, visualization, mindfulness practice, or deliberate focus drills. Meditation trains attention, reduces cognitive noise, and strengthens the mind's ability to observe thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Visualization prepares the brain to perform under pressure by mentally rehearsing challenges and responses. Mindfulness practice increases awareness of emotional and physiological responses, enabling deliberate regulation rather than reactive behavior. By dedicating time each day to these exercises, you reinforce mental clarity and emotional stability, creating a resilient foundation for every high-pressure moment. Journaling is another powerful habit for building resilience. Writing down thoughts, emotions, and reflections provides clarity, helps process stress, and allows patterns of thinking to emerge. Journaling is not merely recording events, it is a tool for self-awareness and insight. By articulating fears, doubts, and uncertainties on paper, you reduce their mental grip. By reflecting on successes, strategies, and moments of clarity, you reinforce confidence and mental strength. Journaling transforms scattered thoughts into structured understanding, creating a mental environment in which calm decision-making and strategic thinking flourish. Reflection is closely intertwined with journaling, but extends beyond recording experiences. Reflection is the deliberate process of reviewing actions, outcomes, and reactions to stress. After challenging moments, taking time to evaluate what worked, what could be improved, and how emotions were managed strengthens resilience. Reflection converts experience into learning, ensuring that each high-pressure moment contributes to future mastery. Over time, reflection builds a feedback loop that refines decision-making, reinforces confidence, and reduces vulnerability to stress. The mind becomes a laboratory where each challenge is analyzed, understood, and incorporated into greater mental strength. Self-discipline is a cornerstone of stress-proof habits. Motivation is fleeting and unreliable. It rises and falls with emotion, energy, and circumstance. Discipline, however, is consistent action aligned with long-term goals. Daily routines that reinforce mental clarity, such as setting priorities, adhering to schedules, and practicing focused work, train the mind to operate effectively even when external conditions are challenging or internal energy fluctuates. Discipline strengthens self-trust, ensuring that decisions are guided by principles rather than panic, impulsivity, or distraction. A disciplined mind is inherently resilient, capable of navigating stress with composure and confidence. Sleep, nutrition, and physical activity are often overlooked yet essential components of mental resilience. The mind does not function optimally when the body is fatigued, undernourished, or inactive. Adequate sleep restores cognitive function, consolidates learning, and regulates emotion. Proper nutrition fuels the brain with the energy required for sustained attention and clarity. Physical activity reduces stress hormones, improves mood, and strengthens mental endurance. By integrating these habits into daily life, You create the physiological foundation for mental resilience. Calmness under pressure is as much about the body as it is about the mind. Stress-proof habits address both domains. Environmental management is another critical habit. The spaces in which we live and work shape mental states. Clutter, noise and disorganization increase cognitive load, amplify stress and reduce focus. By cultivating environments that support clarity, organized workspaces, intentional schedules, and boundaries against unnecessary distractions, you reduce mental friction and conserve attention for critical decisions. A mind free from unnecessary interference is better able to maintain focus, think strategically, and remain composed under pressure. Environmental discipline is, therefore, an essential component of long-term resilience. Stress-proof habits also include mental rehearsal and scenario planning. Regularly imagining high-pressure situations and practicing responses strengthens neural pathways, making calm, effective action habitual rather than reactive. The mind becomes familiar with challenges before they occur, reducing the intensity of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Scenario planning is not avoidance. It is preparation, insight, and empowerment. By mentally navigating potential difficulties, you cultivate adaptability, creativity, and strategic clarity, ensuring that when pressure arrives, the mind responds with precision and confidence. Gratitude and positive reflection reinforce mental resilience in subtle yet profound ways. A mind accustomed to recognizing achievements, progress, and opportunities is less vulnerable to fear, negativity, and self-doubt. Daily reflection on what is working, lessons learned, and successes achieved builds a mindset of capability rather than limitation. Positive mental habits do not deny the existence of stress or challenge. They balance perception, providing perspective and reducing the disproportionate impact of adversity. Over time, gratitude transforms the internal dialogue from one of anxiety and fear to one of confidence and constructive engagement. Learning to detach from outcomes while focusing on effort is another habit that strengthens resilience. Pressure often arises from attachment to specific results, creating anxiety about performance, recognition, or approval. By training the mind to prioritize effort, strategy, and focus over external validation, you reduce fear of failure and increase composure. This mindset does not reduce ambition or accountability. It liberates mental energy to think clearly, act decisively, and perform at your best without being paralyzed by imagined consequences. Detachment in focus, combined with attachment to process, is a hallmark of stress-proof thinking. Social and emotional support is a habit that reinforces resilience over time. Regularly connecting with mentors, peers, or trusted confidants provides perspective, reduces cognitive load, and models effective stress management. Support networks are not crutches, they are resources that amplify mental strength. Sharing experiences, discussing challenges, and learning from others' strategies strengthen problem-solving, build confidence, and normalize the presence of fear and pressure. Mental resilience is cultivated in isolation but reinforced in connection. Building supportive routines is therefore an essential habit for long-term clarity under stress. Consistency compounds results. Each small daily habit, whether journaling, meditation, reflection, focused work, or physical exercise, creates a neural architecture of resilience. Over time, the mind begins to default to composure, clarity, and strategic thinking. Stress no longer overwhelms, it becomes a signal to engage mental skills already practiced. Calmness, focus, and decisiveness are no longer extraordinary achievements, they are the habitual responses of a mind trained for excellence under pressure. Mental strength is built gradually, quietly, and persistently, and the effects are transformative. Mental resilience also requires embracing challenge as practice. Difficulties, setbacks, and pressure moments are not merely obstacles, They are opportunities to strengthen habits, refine strategies, and reinforce mental clarity. Approaching life with this mindset transforms stress from an enemy into a training ground for excellence. Each encounter with pressure, when managed intentionally, builds confidence, focus, and composure. Resilience is not an innate trait reserved for the few. It is the result of deliberate habit formation, repeated practice, and the disciplined cultivation of a mental environment optimized for clarity under pressure. Finally, the integration of these stress-proof habits ensures long-term mental strength. Daily mental exercises, journaling, reflection, discipline, physical health, environmental management, scenario planning, gratitude, detachment from outcomes, and supportive connections collectively form a comprehensive system. Each habit reinforces the others, creating a resilient mind capable of thinking clearly, acting decisively, and performing consistently under pressure. These habits make calmness automatic, focus instinctive, and mental clarity a default state rather than an aspiration. In conclusion, mental resilience under pressure is not a matter of luck, personality, or fleeting motivation. It is cultivated through deliberate, consistent, and intentional habits. By integrating daily mental exercises, reflection, journaling, self-discipline, physiological care, environmental management, scenario planning, gratitude, and supportive connections into your life, you build a mind that is unshakable. Pressure no longer dictates performance. It becomes an arena for demonstrating clarity, composure, and mastery. Mental resilience is not a temporary skill. It is a lifelong practice, a cultivated mindset, and the foundation for excellence in every high-stakes moment. By committing to these habits, you are investing in your most valuable asset, your mind. Each day of practice, reflection, and preparation strengthens neural pathways, sharpens focus, and fortifies emotional control. Stress-proof habits transform anxiety into readiness, doubt into confidence, and pressure into opportunity. Over time, composure, clarity, and resilience become automatic. The mind becomes a fortress, capable of thinking clearly, acting decisively, and thriving in every challenging situation. These habits are not optional for high performance, they are essential. They are the invisible architecture of a life that thrives under pressure, and the daily choices you make determine the strength, focus, and clarity of your mind for years to come. Chapter 9: Leading with Clarity in High-Stakes Situations. High-stakes situations demand more than individual composure, they demand leadership. Whether in the boardroom, on the sports field, in a crisis, or during any moment where outcomes matter deeply, the ability to think clearly under pressure is magnified when guiding others. Leadership in these moments is not defined by authority, titles, or charisma alone. It is defined by the capacity to maintain clarity, make decisive choices, and instill confidence in those around you. When the stakes are high, the clarity of your mind directly influences the clarity of your team, the quality of decisions, and the outcome of challenges that could define your career, your organization, or even your life. Leadership under pressure begins with mastery of self. You cannot guide others if your own mind is clouded with fear, doubt, or distraction. The principles of focus, emotional regulation, and mental preparation discussed in previous chapters are not just personal tools, they are the foundation of effective leadership. A leader who remains composed inspires trust. Calmness under pressure is contagious. When you demonstrate steadiness in the face of uncertainty, your team is reassured, tension decreases, and collective problem-solving becomes possible. People follow those who are present, deliberate, and grounded, especially when uncertainty threatens to derail decision-making. The first challenge for leaders in high-pressure situations is clarity of thought. Complexity, urgency, and high stakes often create cognitive overload. Multiple variables compete for attention, emotions run high, and time is limited. Under such conditions, Leaders must learn to prioritize, filter distractions, and focus on the critical elements that influence outcomes. This requires discipline, decisiveness, and the ability to distinguish between what is urgent and what is truly important. Leaders who maintain this clarity prevent panic from cascading through the team, ensuring that effort is directed towards solutions rather than reaction. Decision-making in leadership is inherently magnified. Every choice affects not only your own outcomes but the outcomes of others. This weight can trigger fear and doubt, yet the same strategies that cultivate clarity under pressure personally, scenario planning, mental rehearsal, structured frameworks, and controlled focus, translate directly to leadership contexts. By practicing these tools consistently, you build the capacity to evaluate options quickly, weigh consequences accurately, and act decisively. A leader who makes clear decisions inspires confidence, while hesitation or indecision can undermine trust and amplify stress. Communication is the bridge between clarity and leadership. Thinking clearly is one thing, conveying that clarity to others is another. In high-stakes situations, ambiguity fuels uncertainty, fear, and inefficiency. Leaders must articulate decisions, intentions, and priorities in a way that is concise, confident, and actionable. This requires self-awareness, empathy, and the ability to read the emotional state of the team. Clear communication not only directs action but also reassures others, creating a psychological environment in which people can perform at their best, despite pressure. Clarity in communication is inseparable from clarity of thought. It reinforces leadership under stress. Leading under pressure also requires the ability to manage the emotional climate of the group. Teams are sensitive to the emotional state of their leaders. Anxiety, frustration, or impatience can quickly spread, while calm confidence and measured responses stabilize and motivate. Emotional regulation, therefore, is not merely a personal skill, it is a leadership imperative. Leaders must model composure, demonstrating that even in moments of uncertainty, decisions are deliberate, priorities are clear, and solutions are achievable. This emotional leadership fosters trust, encourages focus, and enables collaboration in high-stakes moments. Influence is built through consistency and credibility. Leaders who consistently demonstrate calmness, strategic thinking, and reliability earn the confidence of their teams over time. Trust is not given automatically, it is cultivated through repeated demonstration of competence under pressure. Each successful navigation of a challenging situation reinforces credibility, while repeated composure builds a culture of resilience. Teams begin to internalize these behaviors, responding to pressure with similar focus and clarity, magnifying the leader's effectiveness and creating a cycle of collective mental resilience. High-stakes leadership also demands adaptability. Situations rarely unfold exactly as anticipated. Uncertainty, incomplete information, and unexpected challenges require leaders to adjust strategies rapidly without losing clarity. Adaptability is rooted in preparation, mental rehearsal, and scenario planning. Leaders who have envisioned multiple possibilities, practiced responses, and trained themselves to remain calm can pivot effectively without succumbing to fear or doubt. Adaptable leaders maintain composure, communicate clearly, and guide their teams through uncertainty with confidence, transforming challenges into opportunities for decisive action. Empowering others is a hallmark of leadership under pressure. A leader who thinks clearly recognizes that their role is not to solve everything alone, but to harness the collective intelligence and capability of the team. Empowerment requires trust, delegation, and guidance. By providing clear objectives, defining priorities, and supporting independent problem-solving, leaders create an environment in which team members can perform with confidence. Empowered individuals not only relieve the cognitive load of the leader, but also contribute to the collective clarity, focus, and effectiveness of the group. Leadership is thus amplified when clarity is distributed throughout the team. Decision-making frameworks are particularly valuable in high-stakes leadership. Structured approaches such as breaking problems into manageable parts, evaluating short-term versus long-term consequences, and anticipating outcomes reduce the cognitive burden on both leader and team. These frameworks provide a shared language for addressing complexity, ensuring that even under pressure, decisions are deliberate, reasoned, and aligned with overarching goals. Leaders who model structured thinking create consistency and predictability, which are critical for maintaining performance and morale during crises. Preparation remains a core principle of effective leadership. Just as mental rehearsal and visualization train individual performance, leaders benefit from anticipating scenarios that may arise within their teams or organizations. By considering challenges, potential conflicts, and resource limitations, leaders cultivate readiness and confidence. Preparedness reduces fear of the unknown and equips leaders to respond with authority and insight. This proactive approach ensures that high-pressure moments are navigated strategically rather than reactively, transforming potential chaos into manageable, actionable tasks. Feedback and reflection are critical for ongoing leadership development. Leaders who take time to review decisions, evaluate outcomes, and analyze their emotional responses strengthen their capacity for future clarity. Reflection allows leaders to learn from successes and mistakes alike, refining judgment, enhancing strategic thinking, and reinforcing confidence. In high-stakes leadership, reflection is not passive. It is an active process of continuous growth that strengthens mental resilience over the long term. Ethics and integrity are also tested under pressure. High-stakes situations often present opportunities to take shortcuts, compromise values, or act impulsively. Leadership clarity is not only about decisions that produce results, it is about decisions that align with principles and long-term vision. Integrity under pressure builds trust, credibility, and loyalty. Teams follow leaders whose decisions are consistent, principled, and transparent, even when the path is difficult. Mental clarity, coupled with ethical clarity, creates a powerful combination that inspires confidence and respect. Mentorship and guidance are essential for sustaining leadership under pressure. Leaders who cultivate relationships with experienced mentors gain perspective, insight, and strategies that prepare them for high-stakes challenges. Mentorship accelerates learning, reinforces confidence, and provides a framework for making critical decisions. High-performing leaders not only seek guidance for themselves, but also mentor others, fostering a culture of clarity, resilience, and effective decision-making throughout the organization. Adaptation to stress also extends to the leader's personal habits. Daily routines, mental preparation, physical fitness, reflection, and stress management practices all contribute to the leader's ability to maintain composure. Leaders who prioritize self-care, mental rehearsal, and emotional regulation ensure that their minds remain sharp and resilient, capable of guiding others under pressure. Leadership is not sustainable if the individual is mentally depleted. Stress-proof habits protect clarity, focus, and decision-making capacity over time. Leading with clarity is ultimately about influence, trust, and performance. The leader who remains composed, communicates clearly, anticipates challenges, and empowers the team transforms high-pressure situations into opportunities for collective success. Clarity becomes contagious. The focus of the leader shapes the focus of the group. The confidence of the leader reinforces the confidence of the team, and the decisiveness of the leader drives effective action. In these moments, mental clarity is not only personal, It is organizational, cultural, and transformative. In conclusion, leading with clarity under pressure is the intersection of self-mastery, strategic thinking, emotional regulation, communication, and ethical integrity. It is cultivated through mental preparation, scenario planning, structured decision-making, and habits that reinforce resilience over time. Leadership in high-stakes situations is not about eliminating fear, uncertainty, or complexity. It is about responding deliberately, guiding others confidently, and ensuring that pressure becomes a catalyst for focused action and collective achievement. The leader who embodies clarity under pressure becomes a beacon in times of uncertainty. Their composure inspires trust, their decisiveness creates momentum, and their presence stabilizes those around them. Mental resilience, strategic foresight, and emotional mastery are not optional skills. They are the foundation of influence and high-performance leadership. By committing to personal discipline, preparation, and reflection, you create a capacity to lead effectively when stakes are highest. Every high-pressure moment becomes a proving ground for your ability to guide, influence, and perform. By thinking clearly, acting decisively, and supporting those around you, you establish a pattern of leadership that others instinctively follow. Your calmness, clarity, and composure are not just personal assets. They are the stabilizing force that elevates every decision, every team, and every outcome. Leading with clarity under pressure is the ultimate expression of mental strength, transforming fear into focus, chaos into strategy, and uncertainty into opportunity for decisive, meaningful action. Chapter 10: Maintaining Clarity During Crises and Unexpected Events. Life is unpredictable. No matter how well you plan, prepare, or anticipate, crises will arise, emergencies will occur, and unexpected events will disrupt even the most carefully constructed routines. These moments test not only our skills and knowledge, but also the very fabric of our mental resilience. The ability to maintain clarity during such times separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise with purpose, composure, and decisive action. Thriving in chaos is not an innate gift. It is a cultivated skill, built through intentional habits, mental discipline, and the practice of staying present amidst uncertainty. The first principle of maintaining clarity in a crisis is presence. When events unfold suddenly, the mind tends to race, jumping to worst-case scenarios, imagining potential failures, and spiraling into anxiety. Fear and distraction cloud judgment, making every decision feel urgent, critical, and overwhelming. Being present, fully aware of the current moment, sensations, surroundings, and immediate priorities, anchors the mind. Presence is the foundation of clarity because it halts mental chaos, filters out irrelevant worries, and allows focus to settle on what can actually be controlled and influenced. Crises require action, and action can only emerge from an uncluttered, attentive mind. Adaptability is the second critical factor. Crises rarely conform to expectations. They are dynamic, fluid, and unpredictable. Leaders, professionals, and individuals who thrive in these moments understand that rigid adherence to plans can be a liability. Flexibility allows the mind to pivot, adjust strategies, and respond effectively to shifting circumstances. Mental rehearsal, visualization, and scenario planning, habits cultivated in earlier chapters, strengthen adaptability. By mentally exploring potential disruptions and rehearsing responses in advance, you reduce the shock of the unexpected and build the confidence to act decisively when reality diverges from expectation. Adaptability transforms uncertainty from a source of fear into an arena for opportunity and problem-solving. Calmness under pressure is equally essential. During a crisis, emotions naturally surge. Fear, frustration, anger, and panic are common responses. These reactions are biologically hardwired, yet they can impair judgment and hinder performance if left unchecked. Emotional regulation strategies such as controlled breathing, posture awareness and mindfulness allow you to remain centered. Calmness does not mean suppression of emotion, it means mastery over it. By consciously regulating emotional responses, you create a mental space in which rational thinking, strategic analysis and purposeful action can coexist with the natural physiological reactions that crises provoke. Calmness under pressure stabilizes not only your decisions but also those around you, creating a ripple effect of composure and focus. Decision-making in crises requires speed without sacrificing clarity. Time pressure and uncertainty can tempt the mind to react impulsively or overthink endlessly, each of which is counterproductive. Clear decision-making emerges from prioritization, structure, and mental frameworks. Break complex situations into actionable components, identify what must be addressed immediately, and determine what can wait. Evaluate options quickly but deliberately, weighing consequences with the information available. Crises are not a test of perfection, they are a test of the ability to act effectively with the resources at hand. Decisive action in a structured manner minimizes chaos and maximizes control, even when outcomes remain uncertain. Maintaining perspective is another hallmark of mental clarity during unexpected events. In moments of disruption, it is easy to catastrophize, magnifying the importance of immediate problems while losing sight of long-term objectives. Perspective allows the mind to differentiate between what is critical and what is peripheral, between true threats and temporary discomforts. Reflecting on past challenges, recalling moments when previous crises were navigated successfully, and reminding yourself of capabilities already developed can anchor the mind. Perspective mitigates the paralyzing effect of fear and uncertainty, enabling measured, effective responses even under extreme stress. Preparation is an often underestimated element of thriving during crises. While no plan can predict every eventuality, deliberate preparation primes the mind to handle disruption. Mental rehearsal, scenario planning, and exposure to controlled stress create neural pathways for calm decision-making. Preparation reduces reactionary panic by providing the mind with reference points, an internal library of strategies, responses, and mental cues that can be accessed under duress. The mind of a prepared individual treats crises not as paralyzing threats, but as challenges that can be approached systematically, leveraging skills, habits, and judgment cultivated over time. Flexibility extends beyond strategy to perception. How you interpret the crisis shapes your response. Viewing challenges as insurmountable threats triggers fear and indecision, whereas seeing them as opportunities for problem-solving, growth, or demonstration of skill generates energy, focus, and creative thinking. Cognitive reframing transforms the internal narrative, from victimhood to agency. Even in the most chaotic circumstances, the ability to consciously choose interpretation and response empowers the mind to act rather than react, fostering resilience and mental clarity when it is most needed. Stress-proof habits developed over time are crucial during crises. Daily routines, reflection, journaling, mindfulness, and disciplined mental exercises reinforce the brain's ability to operate under duress. Habits are the scaffolding of automatic responses. They allow clarity to emerge even when pressure peaks. The mind trained to respond calmly to everyday stressor will be far more capable when confronted with true crises. By integrating deliberate mental training into daily life, you create a foundation upon which clear thinking, strategic action, and emotional composure naturally arise when the unexpected occurs. Communication is a critical component of clarity during crises. Clear articulation of priorities, actions, and expectations prevents confusion, reduces panic, and aligns teams or collaborators toward a common goal. In high-stakes situations, ambiguity amplifies uncertainty, while concise, confident communication instills trust and clarity. Leaders, team members, and individuals who maintain clarity in speech ensure that their mental composure is mirrored in the environment, stabilizing collective thought and action. Communication transforms individual clarity into organizational or relational effectiveness. Delegation and collaboration are essential under pressure. Trying to handle every aspect of a crisis alone can overwhelm the mind, reduce clarity, and increase the risk of error. Effective leaders and individuals recognize the value of sharing responsibility, leveraging the strengths and insights of others, and coordinating efforts efficiently. By combining focus, delegation, and collaboration, the mental load is distributed, allowing strategic thinking to dominate reactive chaos. Collective clarity emerges when individuals operate with shared understanding, trust, and purpose, creating a resilient response network even amidst turmoil. Reflection during and after crises consolidates learning and strengthens mental resilience for future challenges. After navigating an unexpected event, reviewing decisions, evaluating outcomes, and analyzing emotional responses transforms experience into insight. Reflection ensures that the mind does not merely survive crises but grows stronger from them. Over time, each encounter with unpredictability reinforces mental pathways for clarity, composure, and adaptive problem-solving, creating a feedback loop that enhances performance under pressure indefinitely. Maintaining physical health during crises is also critical for mental clarity. Stress taxes the body as much as the mind. Fatigue, poor nutrition, and lack of movement compromise decision-making and focus. Deliberate attention to breathing, posture, and energy management mitigates the physiological effects of crisis, enabling mental functions to operate at peak capacity. The mind and body are inseparable, and clarity emerges from harmony between physiological readiness and cognitive preparation. Confidence and self-trust are amplified in unpredictable situations. Trusting your abilities, preparation, and judgment allows you to act decisively without succumbing to fear or doubt. Confidence is not arrogance. It is the outcome of consistent practice, mental discipline, and reflection. When crises arise, a confident mind navigates uncertainty with focus and composure, transforming fear into action and ambiguity into strategy. The more the mind is trained to trust itself, the more reliably clarity will emerge when it is needed most. The ability to learn from chaos is a defining characteristic of resilient individuals. Crises provide immediate feedback, decisions have consequences, strategies reveal strengths and weaknesses, and emotional responses are tested. Viewing each crisis as an opportunity to refine judgment, enhance focus, and strengthen adaptability transforms unpredictability from a threat into a catalyst for growth. The mind becomes resilient not by avoiding disruption, but by engaging it thoughtfully, learning from it, and emerging stronger and clearer than before. Ultimately, maintaining clarity during crises and unexpected events is the intersection of preparation, presence, adaptability, emotional regulation, perspective, communication, collaboration, and reflection. These elements work together to create a mind that is both stable and flexible, capable of decisive action under uncertainty. Clarity is not the absence of pressure or chaos. It is the result of habits, training, and deliberate mental engagement that allow you to respond effectively regardless of circumstance. By committing to mental rehearsal, scenario planning, stress-proof habits, disciplined reflection, and emotional mastery, you equip yourself to navigate the unpredictable with composure and insight. Every unexpected challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate the strength of your mind, the depth of your preparation, and the clarity of your judgment. High-pressure situations no longer intimidate, they illuminate the resilience, focus, and strategic capabilities you have cultivated over time. In conclusion, crises and unexpected events are inevitable, but mental clarity in these moments is not accidental. It is a cultivated skill, strengthened through preparation, presence, adaptability, emotional control, perspective, communication, collaboration, and reflection. When these principles are practiced consistently, the mind becomes a reliable instrument capable of thinking clearly, acting decisively, and performing effectively regardless of uncertainty. Thriving in chaos is not about eliminating unpredictability. It is about cultivating the resilience, habits, and mental frameworks that allow clarity, focus, and action to emerge naturally, no matter what life throws at you. Every crisis, every unexpected event, every disruption is an opportunity to practice composure, reinforce mental habits, and demonstrate mastery over fear, doubt, and confusion. The mind trained to remain calm, present, and adaptive transforms unpredictability from a source of anxiety into a stage for excellence. By embracing these strategies, you ensure that clarity is never a luxury. It becomes your default state, your guiding force, and your most reliable asset in any situation. Conclusion: becoming unshakable under pressure. As you reach the final pages of this book, it is time to reflect on the journey you have undertaken, a journey into the mechanics of the mind, the mastery of emotion, and the cultivation of focus, resilience, and clarity. The skills, strategies, and habits you have explored are not theoretical concepts. They are tools, exercises, and mindsets designed to transform the way you respond to the inevitable pressures of life. The world will never pause to accommodate your readiness. Crises will arise, deadlines will loom, uncertainty will challenge you, and fear will attempt to dominate your judgment. The difference between those who thrive and those who falter is not circumstance, luck, or talent. It is mental clarity under pressure, the capacity to remain composed, think decisively, and act effectively when stakes are high. Mental clarity under pressure is not an innate trait reserved for a fortunate few. It is a skill, and like all skills, it is cultivated through practice, repetition, and intentional effort. Each chapter of this book has guided you through the principles that form the foundation of unshakable mental strength. You have learned to recognize the physiological and psychological effects of stress, to manage your emotions instead of being controlled by them, to sharpen focus and attention, and to make decisions even under uncertainty. You have explored the transformative power of preparation, visualization, and scenario planning, and you have discovered the role of habits, reflection, and discipline in reinforcing resilience over time. These principles are interconnected. Together, they form a framework for living and performing at your best when life demands it most. It is essential to recognize that stress, fear, and uncertainty are not anomalies to be avoided. They are constants in life, inevitable companions of growth, progress, and challenge. Attempting to eliminate them is futile and counterproductive. The unshakable mind does not require the absence of pressure, it thrives in its presence. The difference lies in how you respond. A mind trained to navigate stress observes the situation, regulates emotion, evaluates options, and acts with purpose. It does not succumb to panic, distraction, or self-doubt. It recognizes fear as a signal, not a command. It treats uncertainty as a challenge, not a threat. This is the essence of being unshakable under pressure, the ability to remain steady, decisive, and composed when everything around you is uncertain, chaotic, or high stakes. Reflection and self-awareness are central to this mastery. Throughout this book, you have been encouraged to observe your thoughts, notice your emotional responses, and evaluate your patterns of decision-making. Self-awareness is the lens through which clarity emerges. Without awareness, actions are reactionary, and fear or doubt governs behavior. With awareness, you gain the ability to choose how to respond. Each thought becomes an instrument of direction rather than a source of distraction. Each emotion becomes a guide rather than a cage, and each decision becomes an intentional step forward rather than a flailing attempt to regain control. Self-awareness transforms internal turbulence into actionable insight, laying the foundation for unshakable performance. Equally important is the cultivation of daily habits that reinforce mental resilience. Stress-proof routines, mindful focus exercises, journaling, reflection, controlled breathing, physical preparation, and scenario planning do more than occupy time. They train the mind to respond automatically under pressure. Habits create neural pathways that enable composure, clarity, and decisiveness to emerge naturally. They ensure that when unpredictability strikes, the mind does not scramble to catch up. It is already prepared, already practiced, and already capable. Mental resilience is the cumulative result of consistent effort over time. Each moment of practice compounds, making clarity and focus increasingly effortless, even in the most chaotic circumstances. Fear and doubt, once perceived as enemies, are redefined as allies when viewed through the lens of a trained mind. You have learned to recognize fear not as a verdict but as a signal, a surge of energy to be harnessed, a cue to focus. Doubt is no longer paralyzing, but becomes a prompt to examine information, evaluate options, and make informed decisions. By reframing these emotions, you transform them from destructive forces into tools for clarity. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite fear, guided by preparation, insight, and composure. The unshakable mind acts decisively because it trusts itself, its training, and its capacity to adapt. Clarity under pressure is amplified through structured decision-making and strategic thinking. You have been introduced to frameworks for breaking complex problems into manageable parts, prioritizing effectively, and weighing short-term versus long-term outcomes. These approaches reduce cognitive overload, prevent rash reactions, and provide confidence in the choices you make. Even in moments of high uncertainty, the unshakable mind applies reason, logic, and experience to navigate ambiguity. It balances the need for speed with the necessity of accuracy, recognizing that thoughtful, deliberate action is superior to impulsive reaction. Leadership is an extension of mental clarity. The principles that allow an individual to perform under pressure scale naturally when guiding others. Composed leaders inspire confidence, focus, and collaboration. They model the behaviors they wish to see in their teams, creating environments where others can perform at their highest potential. Clear thinking, calm communication, and deliberate action create influence, trust, and cohesion, even in the midst of crisis. Leading with clarity is a demonstration that composure is contagious, and that the unshakable mind does not operate in isolation, it elevates everyone around it. Adaptability is another cornerstone of lasting mental strength. Life is rarely predictable, and circumstances change rapidly. The unshakable mind does not cling rigidly to plans or expectations. It remains fluid, assessing new information, adjusting strategies, and acting effectively in evolving contexts. Flexibility does not weaken resolve, it enhances capability. By preparing for uncertainty through mental rehearsal, scenario planning, and the cultivation of adaptive habits, you position yourself to respond creatively and decisively, no matter how the environment shifts. The combination of composure and adaptability is what allows a mind to remain unshakable in the face of both expected and unexpected challenges. The practice of self-discipline reinforces all other elements of mental clarity. Motivation is unreliable. Emotion fluctuates, energy ebbs and flows, and external circumstances are unpredictable. Discipline ensures consistency, making focus, preparation, and deliberate action habitual rather than optional. Self-discipline builds self-trust, the knowledge that you will follow through even when conditions are difficult or energy is low. This internal reliability is the bedrock of unshakable performance. When the mind is disciplined, it responds with clarity, purpose, and confidence, independent of external pressures. Resilience is strengthened by reflection and learning. Every high-pressure moment provides feedback. Each success, mistake, or challenge offers insight into your mental patterns, emotional responses, and decision-making processes. By examining experiences carefully, identifying what worked, and adjusting approaches, you transform each situation into an opportunity for growth. Reflection ensures that the mind does not simply endure pressure but evolves through it. Each iteration of practice, action, and reflection reinforces the neural and emotional pathways that enable clarity under even the most extreme conditions. It is essential to recognize that becoming unshakable under pressure is a lifelong pursuit, not a one-time achievement. Mental clarity, emotional control, and decisiveness are skills that require constant cultivation. Daily practice, intentional reflection, and mindful awareness are ongoing commitments. Crises, uncertainty, and stress will always exist. The world will not pause to give you perfect conditions. The unshakable mind is not created by the absence of difficulty, but by consistent, deliberate engagement with it. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to reinforce focus, strengthen resilience, and solidify the habits that make clarity automatic. Ultimately, the power of an unshakable mind lies in ownership. You are the steward of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. While you cannot control every external circumstance, you can control your internal responses. By taking responsibility for your mental state, you reclaim authority over your performance, your decisions, and your impact. Ownership transforms pressure from an external threat into an internal exercise of mastery. The unshakable mind acts with agency, initiative, and purpose, refusing to be dictated by fear, doubt, or chaos. The journey to becoming unshakable under pressure is not linear. There will be moments of failure, hesitation, and distraction. You may encounter situations that overwhelm or challenge you in ways you did not anticipate. These moments are not evidence of weakness. They are opportunities to practice, refine, and strengthen. Every instance of regaining focus after distraction, every deliberate action taken in spite of fear, and every reflection on experience reinforces the foundation of clarity. Progress is cumulative, and resilience grows steadily with each application of the principles you have learned. As you move forward, remember that the tools, strategies, and habits you have explored are now yours to apply in every domain of life. High-pressure work situations, personal crises, unpredictable challenges, and moments of intense scrutiny are no longer occasions for panic or indecision. They are opportunities to demonstrate the mental strength, composure, and clarity you have cultivated. Each choice you make, each action you take, and each decision executed with focus reinforces the unshakable nature of your mind. The final message is clear: unshakable mental strength is within your reach. It is not a matter of innate talent or luck. It is the product of awareness, preparation, reflection, habit, and discipline. It is cultivated daily, reinforced in moments of stress, and refined through experience. By committing to mastery over your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you equip yourself to navigate any situation calmly, confidently, and decisively. The unshakable mind is a fortress of clarity, a reservoir of resilience, and a source of unwavering performance under pressure. Carry forward the understanding that life will always bring uncertainty, fear, and high-stakes challenges. What distinguishes those who excel from those who falter is not circumstance but mental preparation. By practicing presence, emotional regulation, focus, disciplined action, reflection, and adaptability, you transform stress into opportunity, fear into fuel, and chaos into clarity. You become someone who does not merely react to pressure, but who masters it. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are empowered, capable, and unshakable. In closing, embrace the responsibility and privilege of owning your mental state. Every thought, emotion, and action is an opportunity to reinforce the clarity, resilience, and decisiveness that define an unshakable mind. You now have the strategies, the frameworks, and the habits to thrive under pressure, to navigate uncertainty with confidence, and to perform at your highest potential in any situation. Life will continue to challenge you, but the mind trained to remain calm, focused, and decisive will never be defeated. Becoming unshakable under pressure is not a destination, it is a lifelong practice, a cultivated mindset, and the ultimate expression of personal mastery. Your journey does not end here. Each day is an opportunity to apply these lessons, refine your skills, and strengthen your inner fortitude. With consistent effort, self-awareness, and disciplined practice, you will face life's pressures not with fear, hesitation, or doubt, but with composure, confidence, and clarity. You will stand firm when others waver, think clearly when others panic, and act decisively when others hesitate. This is the promise of an unshakable mind, a life defined not by external circumstances, but by the mastery, resilience, and unwavering strength cultivated within. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave us a review. TM Light. Disclaimer. This book was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. While every effort was made to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the content, readers should note that this cannot be considered professional advice. Readers are encouraged to apply their own judgment and consult experts where needed.